people actually. And welcome to our star recruiter, Kim, who heads up our TA at Employ. She's an experienced recruiter, and we're so excited that she's joining us today.
Thanks, Jerry. Hi, Steph. I was literally thinking about this earlier. I'm like, okay, this is the first podcast I'm doing. It's also with my two bosses, the CEO and the CHRO, so no pressure on my end. But no, I'm super excited about being here, and also just super excited about the podcast. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. When you tell someone you work in recruiting, like, what do they assume you actually do?
Okay, well, if I'm being honest, I feel like they typically give me a blank stare. They also think that maybe I'm a headhunter, which is not wrong. Typically, it is somewhat of a confused look at times, but what I try to do is I try to kind of relate it to what they're doing, like, so if they work at a coffee shop, like if you're hiring baristas, there's typically an in-house team that's doing that. That's what I do. So I try to really kind of relate it to them versus trying to over-index on explaining, which I can do at times.
And then given all the meetings you sit in, whether it's interviews, like, and sort of alignment meetings with hiring managers, have you ever been in any meeting you're like, HR absolutely needs to be in this room right now?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think, I would say a good example would be, it was at a previous company, and I was sitting in a leadership meeting. And one of the leaders in the meeting, they just brought up casually that they need to hire 8 people on her team, basically immediately. And so I was asking, I paused and I was like, okay, well, is this in your headcount plan? Do you have this aligned with your HR partner? Do you have the budget approved? And unfortunately, every answer was no. So I think, that's the moment when you realize, like, this is exactly why HR needs to be, in the room early, and hiring isn't just, obviously there's enthusiasm, there's urgency behind it, but we're really trying to get out of the reactiveness of what is recruitment. And so I think it's so much more than that. I think really getting that across to the business and that partnership of like, hey, this is a financial commitment. Like, this is workforce planning. This is onboarding capacity. This is long-term org design. I think really trying to educate them through the process is so important. But yes, there has been many of times where I've been in a room and just been shocked. Like, oh gosh, I got to get either Steph in here or a previous HR leader in this.
And by the way, that never happens at Employ, right?
No, never.
No. So, Kim, I think that's such a great point. I want to jump in here. I think what you were just saying is that sometimes things get a little bit messy. So talk to us a little bit about, like, what's that moment, or is there a moment where you felt the ripple effect of a people decision that really didn't feel or wasn't fully thought through?
Oh gosh, one that really sticks with me because it impacted me directly. I won't name names or companies, but it was at a previous company that I worked with. So we brought in a new leader of TA. And this person came from a really large organization. And so the company that I was at the time was, 500 plus organization. So very similar to our company size. I think in theory, on paper, what his plan was sounded very impressive, but what his plan was bringing in a model that worked at a very large scale, massive company. And so I think at the time we were a 4-person TA team. We went up to a 12-person TA team. What happened when they actually all came over is he hired a lot of those people from that large organization that he knew. So a lot of referrals. And so when they came over, it was hard for them to adapt. I think the ripple effect really was they weren't set up for success. The expectations just did not match, and we just didn't have the infrastructure. We're scrappy, and I think I've always loved that about recruitment. Listen, I love process too. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, Jerry. I love it, but I can also be scrappy, and you can do both.
For our audience,
but I think when you over-index,
keep you on track.
Yeah, exactly. No. I mean, but also process can sometimes get in the way. And so I think, I would say that probably is the best example that truly impacted me as far as not only the type of person that can really come in, because you can work at a larger organization and come over to a small organization and be successful. But I do think it's really making sure that you're assessing that sort of profile as well, especially if it's coming over to a different scale of an organization. But also, I think it also hits on referrals, right? Like if you get all of the same people from the same exposure, same experience, and you hire them all at the same time, sometimes that isn't good. Sometimes that doesn't move the needle like you're thinking it's going to. So I would say that that's the biggest, that's a moment that will stick with me for a while.
It's funny you say that. I do. I love referrals. But everything can be an overutilized skill, right? So you can create through these referral programs ecosystems of far too similar working styles or wounds of their forefathers being brought into a new organization. So I think that makes a ton of sense. As you were talking, I was recalling, if I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've also spent time in agency, not just corporate. You've been an agency recruiter, yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I have a question for you from the perspective of an agency recruiter. So talk to us a little bit about a time that you've watched a hiring process and you've thought to yourself, this is telling me everything I need to know about this company.
Yes. That's a great question, and I love it. I think the biggest signal, to be honest, is a hiring process where there is 6+ steps, and they continue to add steps. I think that really tells me a lot. Lengthy processes sometimes make sense to a certain degree. It depends. But I think they signal to me that there's either a lack of trust in the assessment of what they have in place in that decision making. It's not necessarily like a red flag to me. It's more of okay, they need to feel confident in their hiring process. They need a consultant, me, TA, to really come in and really focus in on making them more confident. Like, hey, have we thought about this competency, assessing this, making them feel confident about using their own judgment. It's so important, and it's both of our jobs. It's not just the business, it's TA. That's what we're here for, to really create that psychological safety of hiring and helping teams really think broader too.
On that same vein, though, right? So, leaders, I think sometimes we get downstream in the recruitment process and there's a lack of alignment at a leadership level. So what are some signals that show you, or a small behavior that shows you through the hiring process, that they are aligned or frankly, that they're totally not?
Thoughtfulness, honestly. I think it's more of, let's slow down a little to speed up. Right? Like, I think it's more of thinking holistically, and it's also TA too. I have to slow my recruiters down all the time to really think through how they're asking the business questions and how they are being strategic partners to the business, because that is our job. That is our job. I think it's really the thoughtfulness behind, why they're hiring, what's the impact that this hire will have, along with, listen, if they bring a 30, 60, 90 to that intake, I'm in love. I could give them a kiss, but I won't, because I'm in HR. I won't do that. And it's remote.
Not.
So, the logistics of everything, it just wouldn't work out. But no, if they come prepared with a 30, 60, 90, they have my heart.
Oh, I love it. Okay, rounding out our messiness question. So talk to me again, executive recruiter hat, right? What is the fastest way that you've been able to tell in the past if a company values talent without them saying it, right? Because we all say it. We say it all the time. I value people, but how do they show it to you?
It's how they partner with HR. If HR is brought in and asked for perspective even, and trusted in the conversation as that partner, that tells me everything. If we're looped in only on the back end to process paperwork or do administrative tasks, that's a red flag to me. I think that, sometimes we get looped into an administrative function instead of No, we actually protect the company. We think about compliance and we think about long-term impact. And so I think it's a lot about how that partnership can really be strategic, and it's just really the business understanding HR. It's truly that. It's truly that in the partnership. And so, I think it's just how they follow through and bring in HR. That's kind of how I can tell.
I think you're right? Because the people, doesn't matter what the initiative that needs to get accomplished, the people are the ones that do it, right? And so as you think about how does this impact people, how can we get the most out of our people, how can we ensure that people are feeling the way they need to feel to get the business to accomplish its goals, I think you're absolutely right. You got to at least consult the team. Yeah,
and it's a partnership on both sides. That's what I've seen. I've seen it be at a previous company, I will not name any names, but I've seen it
at some point.
No.
Everyone's looking at your LinkedIn account right now, trying to see what company this is.
They're like, who could she be talking about right now? No, I think at a previous company, it was a one-team hiring methodology. It's more of we're hiring with the same interview process across the board for all engineers. And so that was proposed and pitched to the business. There was a little bit of a gap between between engineering leadership saying, hey, this actually will work, but maybe we need to tweak this, and it needs to be more org specific and team specific. And I saw the other side of a TA leader saying, no, we're doing it this way and that's it. And so that impacts negatively. It's not just TA telling the business what to do. It's the business partnering with TA to make sure that they're the experts in what they're assessing. It's just how do we blend that together? And so I've seen that work really, really well. And I learned so much from that. Like when I partner with the business, I want them to understand that they are the expert in their field. I'm here to support them to hire strategically and to hire the best people possible. So I think it's such an important partnership on both sides.
Love it.
And I want to talk a little bit about what does it look like when they're like talent's like really accelerating growth for us, right? Because we talked about the teams humming, we talked about alignment, we talked about, sometimes HR are accidentally be seen as a service desk versus like a true strategic partner. What is it like for talent to deliver outcome and results for the business?
We don't just hire fast. We are aligned on profile. We have a clarified what success looks like first 90 days. We lock in comp. We lock in accountability from the hiring teams on what they're assessing. And I think it's just, listen, if we can go fast, but we need the information to go fast. And we also don't want to, this is a phrase that you've all heard, anyone listening to this, we don't want to just put butts in seats. That's not strategic. That is not helpful. We need to really be thoughtful about the type of person that we're hiring and the type of person that's going to be successful, because we don't want to hire someone without setting them up for success. So I think it's really balancing both. Like, I never want to make leaders feel like I am putting in red tape for no reason. Like I really try to be thoughtful about the why behind what I'm asking, because if you know the why, and the same thing goes from the other spectrum. If the hiring manager says, Kim, I'm underwater, this person did A, B, C, and D for me, and now I am doing it all, then I empathize with that, and I want to make sure that I'm providing them with what they need. So it's really that two-sided, strategic relationship, but you can go fast. We just need the information.
Right. And it's so true. And so what's a moment for you that, a sound talent strategy really clearly accelerate like growth and drive business objectives? So we talked about alignment and then being thoughtful along the way. Like, are there just example of hires where you see like a specific hire just unlock something greater than you even like realized?
Yeah, no, one stands out, and I will say this is here. We were hiring revenue generated revenue generating roles for our sales team, and we were ramping up a class in India. And listen, India is a little bit newer at the time for me when we were doing this. And so I think I had to put the hat on of, I don't know what I don't know, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions. And so I think it was that, but I think it was just the partnership with enablement, a partnership with HR, with the business to really align. And we did such a good job of really understanding each other's pain points. Because I was a newer ish at the time, and so I think when the business saw me really partner with them and take things from them to do it just to get it over the finish line, I think they respected that, and they were appreciative of that. And so I think when it comes to, hopefully I'm answering this correctly, but I think when we think about the impact and me understanding the true business impact of not having these people in seat, and the business impact to not only the business, our revenue, but also the actual team and what they would have to go through without these people. I think that is truly what really opened my eyes, in a different way.
That was such a good time though, right? So you talk a lot about alignment, but one of the things, well, it was fun, right? It was so fun to hire so many people and do it from afar and build out those programs. But as you were talking about alignment, my brain was immediately moving to all of the outcomes of that, right? And so we're talking about how that team has exceeded every one of their customer satisfaction surveys and scores. Your enablement was the strongest enablement, in that partnership with the business, with the training team. That, I think, speaks volumes of how recruiters can be strategic when they're allowed to orchestrate through programs like this.
Yeah. And also, can I just add that was my first time to partner with enablement in that way. Like, I have partnered with them before on the recruitment side, but I partnered with them from a leadership side. And so it wasn't just transactional. So I had to really pivot and understand the value that they brought, because I will say at first I'm like, why do we need this? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, let's just hire these people, get them in the seat. We'll hire good quality, but it's
Figure it
bigger.
out.
It's so much bigger. It's so much bigger than that. So yeah, I learned a lot from that experience as well.
I think we're almost ready at rapid fire. I think what's one question that every executive should ask their recruiters like this quarter?
That's a good question. I think a good question to ask is, especially when they're recruiting and they're ready to launch a role, I think the executive needs to step back and say, what are we missing? Do you have anything that we haven't covered that could be something that I'm not thinking through? I think it's really being humble and really being thoughtful about that partnership again. Like, hey, like, where am I misaligned? Before we open this role, am I misaligned anywhere? And so I think that helps the recruiter, because sometimes it's intimidating, especially when recruiters are working with execs. Heck, like, I'm intimidated, right? And so I think
I don't think I've ever known you to be intimidated, not once. You are the life of the party on a regular basis.
Quit it, Stephanie Manzelli. No, I appreciate that, but no, I think it's really kind of being humble and being like, listen, like, am I not thinking of something here? So I would say
Cool.
that.
All right, Kim. So we always end our podcast with a couple rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I think so.
What's a myth about recruiting you would love to retire? Not retire to Mexico or Cancun, but to retire.
Listen, retire off that cliff. I think great candidates. Oh God, the phrase of all candidates are applying. All great candidates are applying. That is not correct. I think a lot of the time we hear that from the business of, well, listen, like, let's post and pray. There's great candidates out there. Now, I will say right now in this market, there are amazing applicants. They're amazing, beyond amazing. But some great talent is very it's passive. And so you still have to be very strategic with and thoughtful with how you hire from other companies and what, really match it very well. And so that comes with the sourcing piece and being focusing not only on applications, but also on that passive talent is huge.
Okay, so we're going to retire this myth that great talents fall from the sky. All right,
yes.
Got it. All right, what is one interview question you always ask?
What has you interested? Like, what has you interested in this next step? I want to kind of understand them from a human element. Like, they're humans. And I think sometimes we get lost in them being an applicant or a candidate. And so I really want to I couldn't say thoughtfully more in this podcast, so let's edit that out. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think it's really important to understand their story, because they come from something. And I think it's, how did you get here? How did you get into this role? I always love asking that, because it makes them feel less pressure. Interviewing is one of the most stressful things that you can possibly do. I am a terrible interviewer. I have to prep so much because it just doesn't feel, it's not natural. And so I think I'm so passionate about making people feel at ease when they're through this process, because I've been unemployed before, and I understand what a good experience looks like and a bad experience one looks like. So I think it's important to really get to know them as a person.
Got it.
And their story.
If you could pick one song as your work anthem, or it's like your getting on the stage song because you're live at party, like Steph said, what would it be?
Jerry, first of all, ask her to sing her dog song. She has a dog song.
Listen, I have multiple dog songs. Okay, I make them up daily. I should actually write music. No, I'm just joking. No.
Shout out to Taylor Swift.
Kim
Stevens available for hire.
You know what? I'm not. Taylor Swift is a very nice person, but I will say Steph already knows this answer. It's Beyonce for me. Beyonce is the
Queen Bey.
She's just Queen Bey. I just love her so much. So I think I would say Run the World. Listen,
love it.
You got to be confident. You got to move fast, and you got to look good while you're doing it.
What is the one snack you must have?
Okay. I love these. They're these dark chocolate, salted caramel, delicious little treats that I'm into lately. So I love those. I eat too many. It's way too much.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. If I don't have coffee, y'all don't want to see me. You don't want to interact with me. That's just the reality. So, coffee.
Most overused phrase in HR?
Oh my God, table it, or let's circle back. Like, that is the very, very, I think that's just corporate in general, like the corporate, let's circle back, let's table this. Yeah.
All right. What is one thing execs say about hiring that makes recruiters quietly panic? Hit me with it.
Can we hire them next week?
Ooh, this happens all the time.
Can I grow? Oh, let me just go to my lab and grow them for you. I will go do that for you. Immediately. Yes, that is.
I'm sorry. Have I said that to you?
Can we hire them next week? You haven't, thankfully. But even if you did, I would forgive you, Jerry, because I have to, because you're my CEO.
No. Thank you so much. Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for everything you do, along with your incredible team. And we're super lucky to have you today. And thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. There's going to be a lot more fun where this came from.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
People Actually is a production of Employ Inc. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Employ or any affiliated or represented organizations.